Sabine Bergman.
And I'm Savani Babu. We're the co-founders of Hidden Compass, an award-winning company that's turning nerds like journalists, scientists, artists, and explorers into household names. We're leveraging the power of community, and your participation helps us champion literary journalism that is both nuanced and sustainable. The antidote to clickbait.
Meet the author behind this story and directly support their work with a contribution. The storyteller will receive 50% of crowdfunding proceeds, on top of what we already pay. The other 50% support Hidden Compass and our mission.
I'm Diane Selkirk, and I'm a Canadian travel writer based in Vancouver, BC. As an explorer and journalist, I'd say I'm the same thing for both of them. I'm curious. I'm curious about the world and curious about the people I meet and the stories they want to tell. It's important to me to tell people's stories through their words as much as possible and through their experiences. I like to see them in their landscape and in their home and make sure I understand them in context, I guess. I like to ask lots of questions. I like to watch people and just sort of be with them in their environment. I think the North and Indigenous tourism in particular are very misunderstood. I think Canada has had a history of putting Indigenous people on display and making them almost a caricature of themselves. And I wanted to understand who people really were. I had a feeling that people were more than powwow dances and totem poles, and that there was a richness and a depth. And when I went to the North, I wanted to understand the North beyond the context of being in an armored vehicle to see polar bears. I wanted to walk across it. I wanted to smell it. I wanted to feel the wind and all those things, but I wanted to do it through the eyes of people who've been there forever, since time immemorial. I wanted to understand the North in context, and I think that's what Indigenous tourism offers, is a chance to see places maybe the way they're meant to be seen, the way they're meant to be experienced, and it's just a richer, deeper opportunity. So I wanted to tell people about that opportunity and that experience. I think it's important because with Indigenous people in particular, we get a really sad story of who they are. We get the tragedy, we get the loss, we get all those things. But there's a flip side to the story. The fact they're still here, they're still surviving, they're resilient, they're funny. The sense of humor within most Indigenous populations is one of my favorite discoveries. That is this quiet, constant humor, and I think that's why they've survived. The other part of why the story is important is because I think we look at Indigenous people in terms of what they lost, and I think when I traveled to the North and when I've spent time within Indigenous tourism, I've realized that to flip it around, it's what we lost. It's what we lost as a culture by not listening to the Indigenous perspective. So that's been something that I've wanted to tell people, is that if you go and experience Indigenous tourism, you have an opportunity to see the world differently and to perhaps make it a little better after your trip is over. One of the things that happened for me when I was in the North is sort of the moment I start with. It's when I'm eating the berry and I'm realizing that moment felt incredibly familiar. And I wanted to understand why. There'd always been sort of a rumor, I guess, for lack of a better way, in my family that we had an Indigenous connection, and nobody really understood exactly what it meant or what it entailed, or who. We knew that my great-great-great-grandfather had an Indigenous wife, but we didn't know who she was or what her role was. So part of the story was really about seeking that out when I came home and seeing the commonalities between that idea that as colonizers we forgot what this place could have been because we didn't listen to Indigenous people. But as a family, we forgot who we were because we forgot to pay attention to this Indigenous connection, that we carried these skills and this connection to the land, but we didn't really understand it in context. And so I really wanted to explore those two ideas, that as a people, we lost something and we forgot something, but also on a very personal level, something was lost and forgotten.
Thanks so much for watching, and please visit hiddencompass.net to support this storyteller.
Together, we'll celebrate the people who researched the unknown, helicopter in, snowshoe out, dive deep, and invite us to discover. These are our new influencers.
Explorers are in. Are you?